end our little conversation here about knitting. So when you knit and you switch over from one row to the next, what do? We often have people ask, so what do? Do I knit to the end? Do I turn around and knit? Sometimes they have really big baggy stitches at the end of the row. Sometimes they have not so baggy stitches at the end of the row. Sometimes we have little wraps at the end of the row. This one I like particularly if I need to be picking up stitches because I know right where to go to grab those. So this one is actually, we have slipped the last stitch and knit or purl randomly. So we've started with a knit stitch. We've gotten to the end of the row. And we have slipped, we slipped the last stitch when we're knitting it. And then we flip it over. And you can see that it makes some pretty big, I did make this as bulky yarn. I did do these on 13s so that they would show the stitches and stuff. Remember, if you're doing it on a lighter, smaller needle, these aren't going to show as much. So what you want to do, learn from tonight, is the different, it really doesn't make that much difference. This one again is, we have slipped the first stitch knitwise. So you can see how kind of big and loose it is here, coming into my traction. And if we get to this end and I'm slipping my first stitch, it's pretty loose. So again, you're going to want to be pulling these tight, but sometimes people complain that it's hard to get their needles in. So you just find one that you like the best. And this one is actually purling, purlwise your first stitch. And you wrap the yarn around to start knitting it. And I just knit right to the end. Whoops, sorry about shaking. And this one we just knit from the beginning. And we knit it all the way to the other side. And we knit from this edge. I pinned them because I didn't block them. So you have some fairly loose threads here. You want to go ahead and pull them nice and tightly. But as you can tell, from one to the other, the technique really doesn't matter that much. They all pretty much look the same. The only one that's really different is slipping purlwise, because when you bring the yarn around again to the back to start knitting, you get this nice little, I like to use that one if I know that I need to pick up stitches. I also tend to find that it's a little bit tighter for me. And also if you're going to sew things together like sleeves and stuff like that, it just gives you a nice place to put your needle. And again, that's on the other side, again, nice and loose. So so there's those. If you're doing a scarf or a shawl, again, doing the slipping it purlwise and then knitting across is a really nice edge. And you could also do a 3-needle, what is that? I-cord, sorry. I drew a blank there for a minute. So again, these are slipping the last stitch, knitting and purling normally. This is slipping the first stitch, knitwise, and then slipping the first stitch purlwise. So there you have it, folks. That's kind of, let me see if I can turn this around again.